Hey you guys, it is your girl AP and welcome to my channel. So I'm going to do intros as I get into the makeup because this is going to be old school full on YouTube tutorial. So let's get it cracking. Alright, so I'm going to start off with the ELF putty primer, and this is like the poreless putty primer. It's supposed to help minimize pores so that when you're putting your foundation on over it, you don't have like huge pores showing underneath your foundation. But y'all, it's been quite some time since I started this channel. I started this channel 2 years ago. Because I had decided to keep my original YouTube channel, which is AP Young Blog, I believe, separate, and kind of keep it so I can continue to do health talks and chronic illness and mental health and all those things on that page. So I was like in a weird space because TikTok was already taking over with the tutorials. Reels was happening. Everything was bite-sized. So it kind of felt silly to continue to make full-on YouTube tutorials when nobody seemed to be watching them anymore or into them anymore. I'm going to use the LA Girl Pro Conceal to color correct the darker spots under my eyes where I have hyperpigmentation. So yeah, but despite that, I still had a passion and a love for makeup, even though I was going through a very weird thing with deciding if I was going to keep AP Young Beauty open. Like, there was a lot of things going on, but I was like, well, beauty content is beauty content. It's timeless, and, well, not necessarily timeless, but at any rate, it's something that I had desired to do. So I was like, I'm just going to create a separate beauty page, and I'll just put all my beauty content over there and link it to my blog, and then that way my subscribers on my blog who were there for the beauty had somewhere to come to that was not Instagram, and they could watch a full YouTube tutorial. And then life happened, y'all. Like, I have gone through so many changes in the last couple of years. It's not even funny. And if you follow me on my socials, or you are on my other YouTube page, you guys are kind of keeping up with that journey and just how wild things have been for me. And somewhere in the sauce, I just stopped making videos. And because I think I have like 13 subscribers on this page right now. Y'all know how hard it is to build YouTube. So it was like, I don't have the time and the energy and the effort to be consistent, to post videos. And I'm like, nobody's viewing this. Like, I just didn't have the energy. And so I just stopped. I focused my energy on other things, and not even necessarily fashion, which was the other thing I was doing, because that's a whole nother story. I didn't have the energy. This is just some CoverGirl loose powder I'm going to use to set where I color correct it. So I just got really disenchanted and really discouraged in making beauty content, because it just felt like I don't know if my audience over on Instagram, like, people just, they don't subscribe. Like, even though you are begging, pleading, like, hey, go support my content, people just kind of lag their feet behind it. And I will admit, I got really discouraged in the process, and it made it easier for me not to be worried about making YouTube content. All right, let me not ruin my clothing. So yeah, it made it very challenging to want to invest in beauty content, although beauty content has forever been something that, I'm going to just pull this in a little closer, something that has always brought me a modicum of peace, something that I enjoyed doing, and something that I really discovered doing when I was, going through a really tough time with my physical health, and I was out of work. And so I had the time, and that is really where I learned makeup technique, watched all of the Jackie Aina videos and Robert Welsh so I could learn proper makeup application. And I watched a few others, but those were like my two main. And I really developed a love and a passion for beauty, so much so that I launched AP Young Beauty Cosmetics, because I wanted to create pigmented and good formulas of makeup at an affordable rate, because it felt like everything luxury was just so expensive. And I'm like, is the quality really what y'all be hyping it up to be? All right, so this is ELF Camo concealer. This is a hydrating formula. I do like the matte version. It's just the 16-hour long wear. It's just that with aging and skin changing, hormonal changes, I find hydrating formulas are far friendlier to my face than matte ones. Yeah. So, you know, that happened. I just slipped away from that. And then after having weight loss surgery, I went back to work the following year, and then went from just a part-time job to a full-time one, and that kind of became the center and the focus, because now I'm out of the house. I don't have the time to just make video contents, because this can be time consuming. Just the actual act of recording makes applying the makeup even longer, because you're talking, you're trying to explain things, and then also like, oh, I hate when I do that. Like, well, that's what we're here to do. We're here to learn and fix. And it just makes the process longer than the editing of the video. And like slowly but surely, I just didn't have it in me to be like creating content, working full-time job, and keeping up with other things. Like, y'all, I can't even tell y'all how I have not blogged in forever, and writing is like really like my number one passion. But over the last couple of weeks, my husband and I have been having some really intense conversations about where I'm at with things, how I'm feeling, and what I would like to see happen. And one of the things I need to do is be more intentional about making the time to do what it is that I love. And that's a huge balancing act for the life that I live, and how time consuming just having an 8-hour job, but my commute being what it is, especially while the kids were in school, and like I got to pick up one kid from the other side of the world, and like it's just been a wild ride. But one of the things I told him is like, I do want to open APM Beauty back up. I'm not anticipating opening until the fall, but in my desire to do that, I decided to poll my audience on APM Beauty and APY Blog and find out, like, how do y'all consume content? Are you a TikTok girly? Are you a Reels person? Do you like bite size? Do you want full-on tutorials and glams? And it was a mixture of responses. And really, that just told me, like, I need to do a little bit of everything to reach all of my audience if possible. And I know that's not always going to be possible. But I have to start somewhere. So my goal is to do at least one YouTube video a month for beauty content. I think that's fair, because in the time that it'll take me to record it, edit, and all that stuff, like, I would feel positive doing once a month. Let's go in with my LA Girl Pro Conceal. I'm going to use a white concealer because I want to use neon colors today, and I haven't used them in a while, so I just felt like, why not? But having a white base definitely feels more conducive. And if you guys watched a previous video I had up here of my using neon colors, you'll know what I'm talking about. So that's what I'm doing here today. I'm trying to get back into the groove of creating beauty content in full tutorial style. I'm doing this with the understanding that I know it's not going to be for everybody. The glory days of YouTube and full makeup glam seems to have really disappeared, because each generation changes, and with those changes comes how people consume their content, and that includes beauty content. And I did not see TikTok taking over the way that it did, and it was, already kind of like on Instagram, we were at some point doing like they had they had IGTV, so we were able to put tutorials over there. Then the lives were really popping for a while, but I think people's attention span and the need for instant gratification just changed how people consume things. So with TikTok, in those little bite-sized videos of people doing makeup, that is how people started really consuming beauty. But the downside to that is like, and it's not TikTok's fault, but like that consumerism, that push to buy a product really did start on YouTube and got even worse going on to TikTok, because now you have TikTok store and everybody's got sponsored posts, and it felt less about honest beauty reviews and more about like, you know, let's sell this product. So it's just made things interesting, I guess you can say. But with the TikTok ban pending and looming, you know, some people think that the trend will return to come to YouTube, and, you know, I don't know if that's true. You know, I'm not holding my breath, but I do know that one thing that does remain true is I need to stay true to me, and I need to do the things that I enjoy doing. So here we are on YouTube making full-on makeup tutorials. All right, so I'm wearing orange today, so I'm going to use my Delancey loose powders. This is number 7. Now, the experience that I had when I first used these was that, like, the magenta Chef's Kiss, I like the formula, but I was struggling with the shade blue because it was very patchy. But as I stated in that video, I find that a lot of times, depending on the pigment, when it comes to matte stuff, like, it is, oh, this has never been opened, so hold please. Depending on the matte, I find mattes can really be patchy versus like a shimmery shadow and powder. I meant whether loose powder or pressed. But I also found that the actual pigment color kind of dictates, and I always found, no matter what brand I was using, with the exception of my own, blues, like especially pastel blues, tend to be really, really patchy. Now this one feels like it could go either way. I'm gonna try to even it out because I don't want to use too much. And with loose shadows, I like to pat and not swipe, just to keep a nice even layer. Now, I do have old lady lids. They're kind of wrinkly. You know, the older I get, the more wrinkly they get. But I feel, and I mean, that's just par for the course. But I feel like this is doing pretty well with application. So I'm not mad at it. I thought about putting like some glitter, because I have the duochrome glitter, pressed glitter from APM Beauty. But I think I'm going to keep it simple and keep the look matte, because this is a neon orange. It's very bold, and I feel like I'm not in the mood to deal with the hassle of glitter. So I'm just taking a little blending brush and I'm going into the brow bone, and I'm going to start blending that into what I've already placed on my lid. And typically when I'm doing eyeshadow, I do lay my transition color first. But because loose shadows tend to be a little messier, I wanted to start with that first. So I'm really just doing my best to blend it out so it's more gradient and not as harsh of a line of a demarcation, which is going to require me to kind of go back and forth with the neon and the brown. So, you know, if you want to do something like this, take your time, don't rush, because you want to get it right. All right, so there we go. Very simple. Like I said, just 2 matte colors. I won't be doing the most, because I like to get the look that I want and keep it simple as I go. I make it easy to achieve a simple look, but as bold as you want it, right? Now, I'm kind of undecided on foundation because I need to re-up. Like, when I tell you, I really don't be wearing makeup unless I'm, like, going to worship or on a date night. So I'm running low on a lot of things. I have some Fenty Beauty. That's probably out. So let's try this. Maybelline Dream BB Cream. let's see how this does. I think when I bought this was too late for my face. But it's supposed to warm up to your color. So let's try that and see what happens. And if I need to, I'll go in with a darker color. This is very pale. This is very pale. We're going to keep working it and see if it warms up to my skin color. I remember this being the issue when I bought it, but okay, it's warming up. It's warming up. I just don't want to end up with like an ashy gray look. And it definitely looks different in my camera lens than it does in the mirror. Because in the mirror, it's kind of giving pale. But I do see it kind of warming up. So we'll stick with it for continuity. We'll stick with it. I'm going to add a little bit more to my face. And really avoiding the under eye because I'm going to put concealer on. And I am not a person who likes to layer for no reason. And honestly, concealer is thicker than foundation. So there's no need for me to bring the foundation all the way up under my eyes. Like, if I'm just going to put a concealer on. So I usually leave that kind of open. And I always cover the nose last. So I'm not like putting too much product on the nose because the nose does tend to get oily quicker for me. And that way, it's not like super oily. I don't want to be like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer after my makeup's been on for a couple of hours. Shoot, I forgot. So I've been doing this thing where I do my primer, do my sunscreen. I already had sunscreen on though for today, so I did my primer first in this video. But I've been following those steps of doing primer first, then sunscreen, and then using your setting spray because the great Robert Welsh taught us that setting spray, like the blocking that's supposed to do and mattifying, works well if you put it on before the makeup because then it will create a barrier between your foundation and your skin in that oil. So that was something that I learned and I've been doing, and I've been really happy with that. I'm going back in with my ELF Camo Concealer, and when I tell y'all, if you were around for that skin journey, like I be mad now sometimes when I see like the scarring on my face. But when I look back at old videos of what that actually looked like at the time, my skin has come so far. And really, it's that azelaic acid and also SPF. Nobody told me how much SPF makes a difference in your skincare and helps even out your scarring. Because when I tell you it was so bad on my face, it really was that bad. So I'm very, very pleased with the way things have healed up. It's not perfect, you know, but I can take these little darker marks that I have versus what it was looking like during the height of all of that. Because, baby, I was going through it mentally. Was like in tears all the time, crying to my husband. I'm so depressed. Like, it was a bad time. Alright, so I'm going to use my Black Radiance HG Color Correct to do my contouring bronzing. I know there's a difference. And, they say there's a difference. It doesn't feel like it to me. I know bronzing is more about warming up the face. For me, when I contour it, because the shades of brown that I use, it warms up the face anyway, so I don't really have to bronze. So I will sometimes use a bronzer palette to warm up the face. I meant to contour and warm the face up at the same time. This has a little bit of red to it, so it does both. And maybe that's not correct, but my makeup be snatched though, so I'm going to continue to do it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Let's go in and I'm just going to take this concealer brush. This is a more dense concealer brush, and just tap in. I don't do too much swiping when I do this because I feel like tapping in allows me to be more precise about placement. So I try to blend up into my hairline. Because I'm bald, I don't care about blending up into my hairline. Like, I know a lot of people have to worry about, you know, not messing up their hair or whatever. 'Tis not my issue, so I don't worry about it. And just kind of going back in with the excess concealer that was left on this to kind of bring that back up, because when I started blending it in, it dragged it too far down my forehead, which happens. Like, you're gonna sometimes have to clean up your mistakes when you're doing this. And then we're gonna take the same tapping motion, we're going over that under the eye, and I like to do the eyes last, the under eye, so that my concealer has sat for a little bit and is like, it just gives better coverage, in my opinion, when you let it dry down a little. I always tap up because you want to kind of like snatch the eye up, you know, instead of down. So I always work upwards into the cheekbone. And I'm going to take my eyeshadow brush and just blend in on the nose too. And I blend it right into my eyeshadow, because it's almost like the same shade of brown. So it's like killing two birds with one stone, and we're able to get that nose contour. Alright, so now I'm going to take my Maybelline Fit Me and just a triangle powder puff. And this is the pressed powder. I like to apply that first. I have seen this method tried a few times by different beauty aficionados and gurus, and honestly, it's one of the best tips I could have found, which was to set first with your pressed powder and then go over it lightly with a loose powder. I'm going to go with my Fit Me loose powder to do the same exact thing that I just did, which is to set that under eye. Alright, so now it's time for blush, and I'm going to go into my very used AP Young blush palette, and we're just going to keep in line with the orange, and I'm going to do the lighter. Maybe I'll mix them, so maybe I'll start with the darker orange. And when I apply my blush, I usually go for the high point of my cheekbone and then drag it down, because I used to have apples of the cheek when I was fatter, but now I don't. Throwing it back to the old glory days of when I used to do YouTube videos, I'm gonna put some falsies on today. These were given to me by a friend. She's just like, I know you're into makeup, I don't wear makeup, so I thought you might like them. And so I don't know what brand this is. I like none of that. I'm just gonna pop these on off camera. I am stressed with a K, stressed out. I haven't done lashes in so long. I forgot about how obnoxious it is with the glue and all that jazz, and just that experience alone lets me know I probably won't be doing my lashes anytime soon, because I don't do it enough to be as good and as efficient at it as I would like to be. So this is the ELF brow pomade. It's not the typical brow pomade I use. It's actually called Lock On Liner and Brow Cream. Now, I have not personally used this myself, but I did someone's makeup a couple weekends ago she was Mother of the Bride, and I used this on her brows. It glided on very nicely, so I'm going to try it for myself. It doesn't feel like it's wetter than, and it's dark. Too dark. Okay. So I'm just going to take some loose powder, and I'm going to run it through the brow just to kind of take down on the harshness. Now I'm just going to take some concealer and clean up around the brow. Like, this is ending up being more work than I anticipated, and I just feel like I'm a little nervous filming like me not being as active as I once was. Like, this is like trying to ride a bike again, but we getting there, and thank y'all for riding it out with me. Last but not least, let's get to the lips. I'm going to just use, this is a Espresso from NYX. It's just a regular lip liner pencil. Sorry if you guys can hear my son. He's very into his games. This shade of matte lipstick from Milani, it's called Desire. And last but not least, I'm going to use the Stay All Night spray from ELF. It's a blue light micro setting mist. I love this stuff. It does wonderful. Let's go. All right, y'all, this is the final look. We have arrived. I gotta tell you guys, I feel so out of my element. Like, not having done beauty content full capacity in a long time, lashes the whole 9 yards, bold colors, because even when I am doing makeup, I keep it so neutral. It feels so odd to come here and just sit down, talk with y'all, do makeup. And I have to admit, like, I'm a little leery of posting because I am concerned, like, what if this gets no views? Like, is it just another video out into the void? But it is what it is. One thing I'm learning throughout this process is I have to stay true to me and who I am. So here I am, serving y'all up a nice little beat that's simple and easy and anybody could accomplish. And if you guys have suggestions on more content you'd like to see, please feel free to engage and interact with me at APY Beauty on Instagram. Leave comments down below because I'm ready to grow community centered around finding affordable makeup, learning easy tips to apply makeup, learning the different techniques and color theory and things like that that will help make your makeup application experience better. As always, thank you guys so much for your support, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.